On the surface, T-Pain and Drake never really seem to have any sort of beef or any reason not to like each other, but what if I told you there's been tension bubbling for over a decade, and Drake just exposed it? T-Pain recently threw some shade in Drake's direction by more or less saying that Drake should consider retirement, and to this Drake fired back, claiming that T-Pain had secretly resented him for years.
Drake is like, no, listen, okay, I got another one. Hold, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick, just one more.
And after digging into this, Drake was actually right.
He's gonna run for 7 minutes.
Absolutely, for sure. Weird ass cadence. How soft his voice is.
Keep going.
His arms is mad little.
Okay.
Give me a word to describe him.
Cool.
Kanye West.
Awesome.
Drake.
Singy. But I don't think it's cool when it's like T-Pain shouldn't be rapping and singing, and then it's cool for Drake to do it.
And honestly, just based off my own judgment of character, T-Pain has always seemed like a genuinely good dude. He doesn't give off snake vibes at all. He's got a contagious personality, super likable, and he usually comes off as someone who's pretty positive, but make no mistake about it, he's got some internal issues with respect to Drake. So there's no doubt that he is a Drake hater, but the question really is why. First off, I've been seeing a lot of T-Pain slander on the timeline, which is pretty wild considering that he did crawl so that Drake could run. If you're a fan of Wayne, Thug, Future, Drake, Travis Scott, Kanye, Chief Keef, Lil Baby, Gunna, Playboi Carti, we can line them all up along with the majority of artists over the past few eras. They were all influenced by T-Pain through a sound that he helped pioneer. When you look at the era that T-Pain stepped into, it's not hard to understand why he caught so much hate early on. This was the mid-2000s and hip-hop was still very gritty. You had guys like 50, Jeezy, Wayne, Dipset, T.I., The Game. So when T-Pain popped up out of nowhere, singing and rapping with this weird robotic sounding voice, a lot of people didn't know what to make of it. Many looked at Autotune as a gimmick and they saw it as a cheat code for people who couldn't actually sing. And because T-Pain was doing both, he was pretty much getting triple the hate as he got backlash from rap, R&B, and even pop. A lot of you will probably remember that there was a narrative going around that T-Pain couldn't even sing, like he had no talent. I even found some old comments from during that era that echoed the exact same sentiment. Check out anything by T-Pain, it's nothing but uncreative noise. T-Pain has been open up to the complete accurate accusation that he can't actually sing. Autotune found its poster child with T-Pain, but here's the thing, T-Pain can't sing. People like T-Pain who can't sing at all are starting to deface the value of good harmony. Which turned out to be all bullshit because T-Pain actually could sing. Even on his debut album, T-Pain was already showcasing really early on that he could actually sing without Autotune, but the masses didn't get the message.
You would hold me down when things got poppin'.
He just wasn't really an album artist. Like, he wasn't known for his deep cuts. People bought his CDs for records like these.
Ooh, she got me doing the dishes.
And with records like that, one hit turned into two turned into a streak, and before you knew it, he was the go-to guy for hooks. If you wanted a hit in 2006, pretty much up to 2009, T-Pain was definitely the man to call. He dominated radio, he was on damn near every remix, and he basically became the sound of that era.
Everybody jacking me as soon as I stepped in the spot. Let me talk to you, let me buy you a drink. Somewhere in Wisconsin, I'ma take a shot of the new bowl. Plus I got a Chevy with a 454 in the hood. And if you feel me, put your hands up. Ooh.
The craziest part about the whole thing is that the very tool that T-Pain got roasted for, Autotune, ended up becoming the sound of the industry. Artists like Wayne and Kanye were some of the first major names to fully embrace it. In fact, T-Pain literally sat down with Kanye and even taught him how to use it.
And you can't do this, and you don't do that. The coldest story ever told.
And even when Kanye and Wayne first started using Autotune, like, they got a bunch of hate too. I heard the single for Heartless. He's not gonna drop a whole album with this already overused auto-tune bullshit, is he? The answer is yes. That's exactly what he did. All of a sudden, the gimmick that T-Pain was so heavily clowned for was literally everywhere. I don't know the names of the songs, but when you turn on Top 40 radio, you will hear it used very, very badly on 90% of songs. You won't have to wait long to find a pop or R&B singer that is auto-tuned to the point of not sounding human. And it's unfortunate because even though everyone was using it, T-Pain got all the hate. The name T-Pain was synonymous with Autotune. He was the face of it, and he didn't do himself any favors as he completely leaned into it. At one point, he even created an Autotune app for the iPhone, and eventually the vocal tool itself got completely exploited online, where people were using it to crack jokes all over the internet.
Maybe I should take all of you. Access to affordable health insurance.
I'm never gonna live it up that I didn't start a YouTube channel back then. Like, shit was so fucking easy. Like, look what I'm doing right now. Hit the like button, please. By this point, music listeners were growing tired. Complaints were being made that every song sounded the same, and even T-Pain tried to get in front of it as he wrote an entire diss record to all the people who were biting his sound.
So why the fuck were these niggas laughing at me when I seen their ass? Now why it's cool for you, but it's not for me?
So he's even saying here, right? Like, why are these guys able to do it, but I keep getting hate for the same thing? However, an artist with a song that didn't go unnoticed was none other than Jay-Z, as he dropped an entire record where he calls it all out, the death of Autotune.
This is anti-auto-tune, death for the ringtone.
On the track, Hov plays it really smart because he's echoing what music fans were already saying. He's literally calling for the end of Autotune, and this track kicked the criticism for both the Tool and T-Pain into high gear. Autotune was cool for the first 10 songs, but seriously, T-Pain and imitators, enough is enough. I'm with Jay-Z on this one. Soon enough, we started seeing articles and blog posts where Autotune was listed as a music industry trick that needed to die. Even big stars like Christina Aguilera were seen wearing t-shirts that said Autotune was for pussies. Bands like Death Cab for Cutie went as far to organize full-on hate campaigns against it, and even artists like John Mayer were clowning it. T-Pain was sadly the main target and focus of all the hate, and this type of backlash was pretty confusing for him. I don't understand why the most hated artist is being the most copied artist. Why can't they just own up to what I've done for them and this industry? So at this point, T-Pain is really starting to grow a hatred for the industry, and it's around this time where Drake also pops off.
But I do it to
Much like T-Pain with Autotune, Drake changed the game when he dropped So Far Gone, and while he did get a lot of hate for being soft and emotional, T-Pain already helped break the barrier that softened the blow for Drake, because since 2005, he had massive hits where he was saying things like this.
She counting off all my homies. She ain't even my main lady. All she wanna do is hurt me.
T-Pain took a look at where the game was headed. Everyone was trying to be hard, aggressive, and street. So he flipped the script, and his cheat code was doing the exact opposite by being vulnerable, melodic, and singing his raps. Which, you know, set the stage for Kanye to do this.
My face turned to stone when I heard.
And for Drake to do things like this.
The woman that I would try is happy with a good guy.
And Drake was also a rapper that sang, but he was widely praised for being talented at both, while T-Pain never got that same respect as a rapper because he was boxed in as just the Autotune guy.
See, I don't really sing. See, I'm a rapper.
Really?
Yeah. See, that's why I'm not a Chris Brown or a R. Kelly. I'm a rapper. This is what I represent. Take the Pender ass down. Hustle look like Larry Flint.
So he can actually rap, right? But we didn't get to hear it because rapping didn't pay his bills. It was the Autotune joints that got him paid. So there's no denying that Drake took influence from Kanye's 808s, which took influence from T-Pain, but in many ways he did it better because he wasn't overly heavy on Autotune and he was actually rapping.
Spending nights in the studio trying to beat Hova, be in the throne instead of being your own beloved.
Soon enough, people like Jay-Z, who really delivered a blow to T-Pain's career, started to co-sign Drake. Huge artists that T-Pain really helped, like Kanye and Wayne, were the first to jump on the Drake train, with Wayne even signing him.
I can honestly say that I'm surrounded by some of the greatest people that have been preserving hip-hop. You know, like Kanye, like Wayne, like Jay.
After So Far Gone, Drake was looked at as a revolutionary artist, and T-Pain didn't get the credit for laying the groundwork. In fact, I can't find a single interview where Drake truly credits T-Pain's influence, and what's even worse, nobody seems to ever bring T-Pain up. In these interviews, T-Pain is not being brought up. Kanye is, but no one brings up T-Pain. Aside from this one reference on his song Fear from So Far Gone, I can't even find a single example where Drake claimed that he was even a fan of T-Pain's music. The one and only time where I could find that Drake ever mentioned T-Pain was after a New York Times article came out titled "Rappers Are Singers Now, Thank Drake," and people on Twitter were absolutely outraged because they felt people like T-Pain deserved those flowers. So when Elliot Wilson brought the article up, Drake finally mentioned them.
John Caramanica wrote an article about you set a blueprint for the newer generation to come. And everybody on Twitter went crazy, but it wasn't saying that rappers hadn't sang before you, but
There's a lot of people who contributed to that thing. Like there's people who inspired me. You know, obviously 50 Cent. You had, you know, T-Pain and Wayne doing their style of things, which was huge.
So while T-Pain did usher in this new sound of melodic autotune with rapping and singing, it wasn't until Kanye took the style and did what he did where Drake directly became inspired by it. T-Pain was pretty much like the sketch, whereas Kanye was like the painting, and Drake fell in love with the painting. He was inspired by the painting, right? It's like saying that your favorite food is pizza, but you didn't give bread a shout out. You know what I mean? It was also around this time where T-Pain's singles started to miss. Take Your Shirt Off peaked at number 80, Reverse Cowgirl number 75, and as far as making hits as a solo artist, the motion largely stopped. Then in the features department, things also slowed down. Outside of Blame It with Jamie Foxx, it was clear that the T-Pain stimulus package was definitely ramping down. And he caught that record with DJ Khaled. That was huge.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what.
And while T-Pain's numbers continued to decline, the New Kid in Town was dominating as a featured artist on the rap and R&B charts. Say Something was number 1, right above it number 4, Aston Martin Music number 2, What's My Name number 2, Fall For Your Type number 1, Moment For Life number 1, and if you look at who Drake is doing these features for, a lot are with artists that T-Pain delivered big hits with. We see people like Ross, Jamie Foxx, Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled. So basically, in the blink of an eye, this light-skinned dude from Canada was now the new guy for hooks.
I just needed time, but here goes nothing.
Pull up on the block.
Then as a solo artist, Drake also flourished, with Best I Ever Had being number 1, Successful number 2, Forever number 1, Over number 2, Find Your Love number 3, Miss Me number 3, Fancy number 4. So it took Drake around 2 years to pretty much surpass what T-Pain had done on the charts. And then at this point, T-Pain was really being fizzled out by 2011. Now, as far as the relationship between Drake and T-Pain, the common denominator between them was their friendship with Wayne. T-Pain had worked with Wayne a lot, and even before So Far Gone in 2008, Wayne took T-Pain on tour with him, and Drake was a guest at a couple of the shows. I'm gonna assume that they probably met for the first time while on this tour. And initially, T-Pain seemed to be a fan of Drake. Even when he responded to Jay-Z's Death of Autotune, he did so on the Successful beat.
So that Nouveau got me popping shit, and even worse, nobody around me is knocking it.
It was also around the same time where T-Pain went in on Drake's Forever.
Due to all these motherfuckers hating so heavy, I done got enough bread to buy 20 more Chevys.
When Drake came in, I feel like he started to rap a lot more and not just like melodic rapping. Anyways, back on the conversation of Wayne and T-Pain, because this is really important. It was in 2008 where they even made claims of starting a group together. Discussions around a joint project titled T-Wayne went on for years but never came to fruition. By the end of 2010, T-Pain was even supposed to sign with Young Money, but at the very last minute, they decided not to sign him.
Well, I was actually supposed to join Young Money. You know, Baby Wayne and Slim got together, they talked, and they don't want to sign you because you're like a liability and you drink too much. Sometimes you make a fool of yourself.
T-Pain was really excited to sign this deal. He even had a chain made.
This is T-Pain's about to sign. He's about to sign to Young Money. You better after doing this.
Young Money claimed that T-Pain was a liability because he drank too much, which seems to be the biggest cop-out ever, considering Wayne was an absolute mess during that time. Birdman is not walking away from money because the artist is drunk all the time. Like, T-Pain was going cold. And you've got to consider how devastating this was for T-Pain, as at the time, Young Money was on fire. They had Drake, Nicki, and Wayne dominating the charts, and getting signed could have been the lifeline that T-Pain needed to reignite his career. However, the deal fell through and he was stuck in a stale situation with Akon and Convict, which was a label that was no longer giving T-Pain the push that he once had. Akon started focusing on other business ventures and T-Pain was left without much label support. When he dropped his next album in 2011, it only sold 35,000 units in its first week, which was nearly 5 times less than his album 3 years prior, which sold 168K. While all this is going on, he's seeing Young Money flourish. The Carter 4 sold almost 1 million copies in its first week, Drake's Take Care did 631K, and Nicki did 375. This missed opportunity with Young Money wasn't just like a business deal that didn't go through. This was like the nail in the coffin for T-Pain's commercial career. Speaking on that 2011 album, one of the things that held back its release was a feature from Drake, as T-Pain took to Twitter and said the following: "By the way, the song with Drake on it is the next single as well, so that's why I haven't dropped a new single yet. Just letting you know." Look, I need people to understand that a Drake single in 2011 for a T-Pain album, this could have drastically helped his album. It definitely would have helped. And it was years later where T-Pain spoke on this collaboration.
I wanted Drake to get on 5 o'clock in the morning, my record. I drove from Atlanta to Toronto. Chilled with him for like 3 days.
Nice.
I did 4 records for his album. He did 0 records for mine.
And it turns out that T-Pain wasn't lying, as he did have backup vocals on The Real Her, which was something that producer T-Minus spoke about. A lot of people don't ever notice it, but T-Pain is kind of a ghost on the record. He's in the background singing low melodies. I was blown away watching Drake direct T-Pain and telling him what to write about. I really saw his intelligence as a songwriter. Okay, so scratch this out, I don't like that, but this, yeah, I do like that. Yeah, take it up an octave. Up an octave. Did anyone tell him we're not doing like the heavy Autotune shit for the album? Now, from T-Pain's perspective, this definitely sucks, and I could see why he would be pissed off that Drake didn't come through, but when you look at the timeline, everything seems to fall into place. T-Pain was supposed to sign with Young Money, does some work with Drake that pretty much didn't get used, and sometime later he's told that he isn't getting signed. So this whole feature thing with Drake, this could have been under the pretense that T-Pain was supposed to be signed to the same label as him with Young Money, but it didn't happen. Which again really sucks for T-Pain, because he probably thought that everything he was doing was a greater play for his opportunity with Young Money. I'm not sure when he decided to pull the pin to get that chain made, but he definitely felt like this was a sure thing.
I went and got the chain made because it seemed like it was like really a real thing that was going to happen.
I mean, it's even possible that the work that he did with Drake could have made Young Money realize that he's not a good fit, right? And literally a month after Drake dropped Take Care, we get T-Pain in an interview voicing his frustrations about how Drake gets a pass for singing and he doesn't.
But I don't think it's cool when it's like T-Pain shouldn't be rapping and singing, and then it's cool for Drake to do it.
From that point forward, Drake's success rapidly increases, and while he's reaping the benefits of being the hottest new artist on the planet with the formula of rapping and singing, T-Pain was fading. It was on a flight to the BET Awards in 2013 where Usher approached T-Pain on the airplane and told him to his face that he destroyed music for singers.
We was actually going to the 2013 BET Awards. She said, Usher would like to talk to you in the back. He was like, nah, man, you really fucked up music for real singers. That's the very moment that started like a 4-year depression for me.
So now think about this, right? He's getting told this while he's on his way to the 2013 BET Awards.
And when they announced all of the nominees, it looks as though Drake is the one who may be winning a lot of awards this year.
So while T-Pain is sitting in his seat at these awards, after being told something by Usher that would eventually trigger a full-on depression for him, he's watching Drake take home all these awards. He's probably looking at the whole thing, right? Like, Future is up for new artists. He uses tons of Autotune. From here, things only went drastically downhill musically for T-Pain. In 2013 and 2014, not a single feature charted, and the success that he had early on was a distant memory. In the case of Drake, he had turned into what T-Pain was in 2008, helping 14 different artists make it onto the charts in those same years.
Eating crab out of Malibu and Nobu. That's right, I like my girls BBW. For your Mercedes, I'm glad you reminded me, baby. Them shows is back to back to back now. Word, you ain't never told no lie. You ain't never told no lie. Got one watch that could probably pay for like all your chains, so you don't be chained. Then we fuck all night till things get right. This long dick nigga ain't for the long talking. Man, this shit so ill that we had to restart it.
Drake was going crazy with zero signs of slowing down. And this was something that T-Pain seemingly took notice of, as while on a podcast with Snoop Dogg, he explained that he was hoping to get Drake and a few other artists together for a rapper turned singer project.
Yeah, I'm trying to put together this big rapper turned singer collab. Basically it'll be me, Andre, CeeLo, Drake. Just, the rappers that sing as well.
Exactly,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So do that thing.
I'm trying to put that together.
As you should.
And let's be real, this was in 2014, and although T-Pain used to be that guy, the industry is fickle and he was cold as ice. This is a business, and I don't think it's too far out of reach to assume that Drake wasn't interested in doing this project, and this probably made T-Pain even more bitter. At this point, he's really building up an animosity for the industry because a lot of the people that he helped, they all turned their back on him.
A lot of people don't know, most of those features I did back in 2008 and 9 and 10, I did all of them for free. So I did a lot of stuff for free, and then, nothing was reciprocated.
Now, with respect to Drake and the work that he did for him on Take Care, whether that deal was written on a napkin or whatever, this was very likely an issue with Young Money Cash Money label and not Drake. T-Pain actually sued Cash Money years later. And look, T-Pain might have given Drake some backup vocals for a song, but realistically, he didn't help Drake that much. One could argue that Drake should help the guy that influenced his success, but if that were the case, thousands of other artists would have to do the same thing. Look, the industry has never been fair. It's a business. Then it was just a year later in 2015 where T-Pain would send out another tweet about this Drake collaboration. Drake was supposed to be on 5 o'clock and that didn't happen, so I gave up. So this Drake feature was obviously something that bothered him, and that's understandable. So it seems like T-Pain was really hoping that this Drake collaboration would one day come to fruition, but at a certain point, he realized it wasn't going to happen, and this is where he really starts to turn, starting with his comments about Drake using writers.
If somebody say that they're the best, and they don't say that I'm the best, I got the best team doing this, I'm the collectively the best, then it kind of gets like, oh, you lied, we found out you lied. It's like a Milli Vanilli thing. They was the best singers for a while until we found out that they weren't the singers.
To be fair, I don't think he said anything wrong. I agree with him, but, comparing Drake to Milli Vanilli is probably not what Drake wants to hear, especially when Meek made that his cover art. And honestly, this is probably something else that bothers T-Pain because he is an artist that does it all. If you look at his projects, he's the writer and the producer of 90% of his music. At this point in his career, in terms of even putting together a solid team, he probably didn't have the biggest budget from his label, and artistically, he was maybe even against it. Even back on the Forever beat, he was mentioning not having writers.
Ain't nobody writing songs but me.
And pretty much from this point forward, whether T-Pain realizes it or not, he essentially turns into an undercover Drake hater.
I can't express enough love for Drake without feeling gay.
Did you hear side B of Scorpion?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
First of all, half of it's me. Let's just get that out the way.
Half of it's what?
It's me, nigga.
I can understand T-Pain saying that side B is emotionally familiar, but saying that it sounds like him really overlooks the style evolution that took place over the course of over a decade. Look, T-Pain, you're a legend, bro, but this is hate and jealousy. That's what this is. Shortly after, T-Pain even admitted that he used to be jealous of people who took influence from his style, but that he had matured and now he appreciates it.
Everything is connected, man, and I used to be jealous of it, and I used to be, envious, and I used to hate it. I used to hate it, but now that I'm just a more mature person, now it's flattering.
Maybe it makes him feel better to say it out loud, right? But this interview was only 8 months after the Joe Budden interview. To make matters worse, in 2019, T-Pain revealed that at one point, after spending $40 million, he was stone cold broke and even needed to borrow money to get his kids Burger King.
When you say you was broke, was you had like $0 broke?
I had to borrow money to get my kids Burger King.
T-Pain made a lot of money, but it was pretty much the moment when Drake came into the picture where features really dried up for him. His album and music in general didn't sell like it used to, and after a string of bad investments and with a team that gave him terrible financial advice, he went broke. While all this was going on, Drake was reportedly worth $200 million, and he was dominating the charts with a style that T-Pain helped pioneer. In a lot of ways, Drake became the face of the music industry, which was the exact same industry that abandoned T-Pain and treated him like a gimmick. Drake had everything that T-Pain didn't: a strong, well-connected team, massive label support, huge budgets, and backing from the same label that T-Pain was denied from, Young Money. While Drake was on a 10-year run of success, T-Pain's mainstream career burned out in just a few years, and Akon himself even talked about this.
As someone who signed T-Pain, so why do you think that people stop fucking with him to the same extent?
I saw T-Pain as another me, to be able to cross outside of urban, go into pop, go into EDM, go into his Latin. Like, urban audience aren't loyal. They fickle. Every year there's a new nigga. And then right as that new slide or side nigga coming, you exit. Give him his space.
So Akon is saying that T-Pain didn't continue on his path of success because he wasn't able to crack global markets, and this was something that Drake truly excelled at.
People try so hard to hold on, but hip hop just it's a sticker and mover. It don't stick around long enough unless you continue to reinvent yourself.
And T-Pain didn't like this, what Akon said. He was pissed. The very people that held me back is telling y'all how I could have been bigger. I mean, the owner of the record label that he was signed to is basically saying, without saying it, you needed to be more on par with how Drake was moving, right? And as time went on, it became painfully clear to T-Pain that the Drake era, the very wave that disrupted his run back in 2009, wasn't going anywhere. In fact, it was only growing stronger. The longer that Drake stayed on top, the more brash T-Pain became, and the more his envy started to show. It's all good. Soft Dark Dudes wasn't the wave at the time, but Drake made it okay to simp, I guess. And now people are understanding what I was saying all those years ago. It just took a light-skinned dude to get y'all to listen, and I applaud him for winning the Beige Baby lottery. Like, T-Pain probably thought, okay, this Drake era thing, this is going to fizzle out. The same thing that happened to me is eventually going to happen to him. But that didn't happen. And that's the psychology behind him and what he's saying in 2025, that Drake should retire. He's been waiting for this. Of course he's saying it. Now, I would hope by this point in the video, you should very clearly see that T-Pain is a bitter and jealous person. But if you weren't convinced, wait till you see clips from his podcast.
He from a TV show, but he getting into this music shit. You might want to work with him.
He gonna be a gangster
So
at some
shit, I
point.
said shit. Hit me.
He from a TV show now. But he gonna be a gangster at some point. I got soft his voice is.
Keep going.
His arms is mad little.
Okay, next one. Stop.
Drake has some little ass arms at that point too. So this is the way you're doing this
Tyrannosaurus.
is funny.
Stop.
Drake, please don't beat me up.
Load that.
Don't beat me up, Drake, please.
He's really trying to tell this story, and T-Pain continuously cuts in with these sly little remarks.
He's gonna rhyme for 7 minutes.
Absolutely, for sure. Weird ass cadence.
This is the hate that Drake was talking about, right? He wasn't wrong.
I met Drake in 07.
Okay, this is starting out bad.
His yeah, Caravana in Toronto 07. He gave me his demo. He had like a mixtape out. I go, nah, I'm not looking for artists right now.
Yes! Fucking yes!
No, I'm not looking for artists right now.
Perfect. I like that one a lot. That's my favorite one.
It's not that funny, but T-Pain loves it. He loves hearing about a time where Drake's demo got passed up, where Drake got denied. He loves it, clearly. When T-Pain insinuated that maybe it was time for Drake to retire, this was a full-on projection of his own failed musical career. When Drake came in, T-Pain was on his way out. Drake never really seemed to acknowledge T-Pain as a direct influence because he was influenced by Kanye. People like Jay-Z, who put a massive dent in T-Pain's career, embraced Drake. A lot of the same artists that T-Pain once worked with closed the doors on him and eventually went to work with Drake. Drake became the new T-Pain and the go-to guy for hooks. He was signed to the exact same label that decided not to sign T-Pain, which was really the last chance to reignite his career. T-Pain had high hopes of working with Drake once in 2011 and again for the project he talked about with Snoop in 2014. He went on to bring up these collaborations multiple times. Drake flourished as a rapper and a singer while T-Pain was clowned for it. Drake became the face of the very industry that abandoned T-Pain, and unlike T-Pain's short stint at the top, Drake flourished for 15 years. T-Pain is arguably one of the most influential artists in hip-hop history. He deserves every bit of flowers and then some, but T-Pain is a bitter, jealous hater who sees Drake as a representation of what he could have been or what he thought he should be. And you know, really this video is a perfectly good example of going outside of a narrative that's being painted about Drake. Like in this case here with this T-Pain situation, it's very easy to package up this info and sell it as, oh, Drake is just being soft and emotional. He's mad at T-Pain because T-Pain critiqued his career and Drake is just being soft, right? That's an easy narrative to sell in 2025, and it happens to Drake a lot. But when you actually look at the facts and really give some nuance to it, what Drake was saying was 100% correct. It all had merit.